Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be discussing the controversial firing, which to me is not so controversial, firing of Washington football coach um, Jimmy Lake. So Jimmy Lake was fired just yesterday after the last loss. The Washington University Huskies are now 4-6 on the season, and they are basically one more loss away, and they'll be ineligible for a bowl game. And this is a huge turnaround for a team that just 2 years ago was right a top contender, top 10 nationally to make it to the college football playoffs. So this year has been a huge drop-off for them, and a lot of it, they say, people claim to blame is the coach for having such a bad record. And on top of that, there has been an incident where he has been videoed, and the video went viral on Instagram and YouTube, that he punched one of his linebackers during the game when they lost to Oregon. And that is a big statement, because as a head coach, you cannot hit one of your players. That goes against the conduct of NCAA. And he also lost a game, the opening game of the season, to University of Montana. And for a school like Washington that is known for winning games like they do, and they have a reputation that they have, to lose a game to an FCS team, and they lost it 14-6, keep in mind, without scoring a touchdown, that is a huge blow to the coach. And it also affects the school very negatively because of that loss. Other teams this year have also lost, like Florida State, losing to Jacksonville State on the last play. But the Washington loss is a very big deal, because just 2 years ago, they were a top team in their conference. Like Florida State 2 years ago, they were out of it, so they're still rebuilding. But Washington State, they just dropped off, and the only person to blame, in my opinion, is the coach, because before that, they were a top 10 recruiting team that was recruiting players, 5-star players, like top 4-star players in the country, and now their recruiting stats show that they are 54th nationally. And part of that is that the coach is not traveling to the schools and getting the players, and not giving the right speeches to the players that he should be doing. And that all goes back to the head coach. And I feel like, to be honest, if I was in the athletic director's position, I would have done the same thing, because to be 4-6 after a team that was like 12-1 just a couple years ago and was in the Rose Bowl is a huge drop-off. And to be a school of your prestige, to get the recruiting pipeline that you have, and to be ranked lower than a lot of schools like UCF in recruiting, is a shame to the school, especially with the amount of money that they have. To have schools that have a lot less money of recruiting, to have higher ranked recruiting classes than them, is a big statement, going back to the coach, showing that he should have done a better job recruiting players. I believe that he was known as a good coach at Boise State before he came to Washington, and he was a contender for his job, but is now shown that he has not done a good job where he's at. Maybe it's the location, so I would say definitely give him another shot at another school where he can do a better job recruiting players, maybe. But Washington was not it for him. I feel like it was not the right spot for his recruiting, and that on top of that, what he did on the field was unacceptable. You gotta, as a head coach, you're the example, you're the role model for your team around you, and by doing something like that, to hitting one of your players, shows that it's okay for other players to do the same thing, and that's not okay at all by any means of anyone in the NCAA organization. So maybe they would have given him maybe like one more chance, maybe like one more year. But after what he did, to be honest, that's just like that's all against misconduct, and you can't do that in your spot. So I fully agree with the director of him being fired, unlike I did a few weeks ago from Washington State's their other rival school of their coach Nick Rolovich being fired, which I really did not agree about that because he was being fired based on issues that were completely off field. And when I mean off field, his issues were had to do with COVID and stuff like that, which is completely non-football related. And this guy, Jimmy Lake, he's being fired because of all football related issues. So I believe that they made the right decision doing what they did, and he has not been up to what is expected out of him at his school. So yeah, that's the end of my YouTube video, guys. Subscribe.